Welcome to Unclouded. I'm Ashley Brooks.
And I'm Ty Gowan.
And we are your source for the weekly astrological forecast and some cosmic chit-chat.
And I'm ready to kick it this week.
Yes, let's get into it. Let's get down and dirty, like in the garden.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
So how was your pest problem going with your garden?
So yeah, you had given me some really good advice because we have some hungry slugs that have decided to take the garden as their buffet, their personal salad bar.
Which is crazy for how hot it's been this summer.
Yeah.
There's slugs everywhere. I don't get the correlation because last summer it was rainy all the time.
Wet.
I get the slugs and snails. It makes sense.
Yeah.
But like my plants are just like burning, yet there's also getting eaten by slugs at the same time too.
Maybe because it's drier, the slugs are coming out of the ground like looking for food more.
Yeah. They want it anywhere besides the garden.
Yeah. They have like torn my poor rose bush to shreds, but I got I don't even know how to pronounce what you told me to get.
Oh, the diatomaceous earth?
Yes, diatomaceous.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds like a Greek philosopher.
He's very wise at slug repellent.
Okay.
Yeah, he pondered many a day.
So yeah, I applied that all around the vegetable garden and the flower garden, and I sprayed the flowers with the neem oil.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
Because I read that that's safe for bees, but it's not good for food and edible things.
Same. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like there was a craze a couple years ago where the groups I'm part of, everyone got a hold of neem oil and they're just like, spray it on everything. Totally natural. Totally natural. It's like, yeah, it is natural, but also like,
don't eat it.
So is arsenic. Like you don't want to put that in your mouth. And so it's like, yeah, neem I recommend on if you can spray a tomato plant and not get it on your tomatoes or really wash it, it's better than like obviously anything coming from Monsanto, but still not something that you want to put in your body.
Right. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. I think that it's going to be okay, but I've got some stuff growing. I've got some tomatoes growing. No black tomatoes yet, but the plant is still alive.
I just ate one of the black tomatoes.
How was it?
It tasted completely normal, but I went and got basil from my garden, a black tomato that my dad gave me because I gave him one of the plants. He's taking such good care of it. Like
your dad is
ready to
winning.
go.
My mom's close second.
Yeah, honestly. Yeah. And we're runners up.
You're way ahead. I'm like just pulling myself along on this race.
Do you know what's going really well in my garden this year?
What?
The tobacco.
Really?
Yeah, I planted it because these groups I'm part of, I was reading about like early, I don't want to say like farming, but basically early garden management, agriculture, in how to mitigate pests naturally. And forgive me if I've already told you this, but I read that tobacco attracts insects to its big green leaves. They start chewing on it. They get addicted to the nicotine and they eat themselves to death on it. And so I thought that was so cool. And I bought some, I think it was like Virginia tobacco seeds. I just want to see how it grows anyway. Yeah. I planted like 4 throughout my garden and it's incredible. I don't have a pest problem and I'm watching these leaves get eaten.
All right, I'm getting that next year.
Yeah, honestly, for real, it's neat. And so for smokers in my life, they're going to get a bunch of like dried out to half-eaten tobacco for Christmas this year.
Yeah, the bugs have mined it.
They got some of it, but you can turn it into like a really low-edge cigar too. So
what are you most excited about like harvesting in your garden this year?
So every year I plant something unique that like the black tomatoes or the tobacco that I want to watch it grow. Mm-hmm. But man, every year I look forward to the potatoes the most.
Oh yeah, they're so practical. That's just like a staple.
There's something about like wanting a French fry and I did this last year. I headed out to the shed. It was like 10:30 p.m. I grabbed a couple potatoes that I had dug up already that I cured, and I chopped them up into shoestring fries, tossed them with olive oil and threw them in the air fryer. And it's just like, it was alive, like this morning, and now I'm eating a French fry.
Oh, it's the freshest it can get.
Exactly. So I plant a lot of stuff, and every year the potatoes are the ones that win.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love the herbs. Like I just harvested all the cilantro and the basil and had tacos with the cilantro. And I know you're not a cilantro person, but
I can appreciate it.
Yeah, exactly. And it was really good, and still got some more. But I'm really excited for the cucumbers.
Oh my God.
I love cucumbers.
Erin started planting them going up. So like they're vining up the side of her garden now.
Okay.
And that's interesting too, because it develops differently. Like the sun's hitting it at all sides and it's not sitting on the ground, so you don't get the couple rotten ones.
Yeah, some of them have like a brown bottom.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
This one is just a green cucumber, but it's just they're hanging from the side of her garden.
Do you think like a tomato cage would work for that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Cool. Mm-hmm. Okay, I've got that.
Try it out.
Yeah, I'm gonna get it. It's starting to get like flowering and yeah.
Perfect.
We're gonna have cucumbers soon.
Love it. Want to dive into the week though?
Yes.
Hope you had a happy birthday last week with Mercury retrograde, not in retrograde.
You got it.
That's
I know
right.
they sell shirts that say Mercury in retrograde on them. I'm like,
it's funny because it's like, I think most people would totally be like, oh, that's a funny shirt. But the astrology nerds out there would know.
Oh, yeah. We're just like, No, actually, no judgment. I love anyone who's like interested in astrology, and it's not like it's just like a little like pet peeve. It's not completely wrong.
Your grammar is off.
Yeah, it's just I'm mostly joking around. Okay, mostly.
Dive in.
Okay, so this week we don't have anything really major happening until Wednesday the 14th, and we ended early last week. If you remember, Wednesday, August 7th was the last major transit that we had.
So it was quiet for a while.
Quiet for a week, yeah.
Okay.
The moon was doing stuff, obviously. It does every day, but, nothing like huge or notable.
Okay.
It's just spinning.
Just spinning.
Spinning in the sky. Okay, so Wednesday the 14th, we have Mars and Jupiter conjunct in the sign of Gemini. It's happening at 11:21 a.m. Eastern time on Wednesday the 14th. And with Mars transits, we feel them for about a week or so. So this has been building for like pretty much since the end of the weekend, and we'll continue to feel it until this coming weekend. And Mars and Jupiter conjunct is going to up our energy levels. We might be feeling more physically active, more in need of an adventure, a lot of energy to burn. If you remember, Jupiter expands whatever it touches.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So Mars is all about like physical body, energy, aggression. So some people might be getting really fired up and could be like a little temperamental, impulsive. Others might just have a lot of energy to burn. So you might find that it's hard to sit still. It's hard to, just focus and pay attention on what somebody's saying. You're going to want to get up and run around. And
that's my day to day.
Yeah. Today?
No, just in general.
In general,
my day
yeah.
to day, yeah.
So everyone's going to be joining you in that.
Welcome.
And it's in Gemini, so there could be a lot of talkative vibes. It's kind of looking like we got a little grand cross going on in the sky too that day. So yeah, the energies are a lot, and people are going to have a lot to say about it and a lot that they want to like go out and do about it. You know, like you're going to be feeling a lot of stuff. So it's like, oh, I'm feeling weird, so I'm going to go out and like just go for a run, even though I've never done that. Like people are just going to have so much to burn.
It sounds like impulse control.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. And if you think about Mars as the physical body, people could be eating a lot too with Jupiter. There's like expanding the
oh, really? So
belt.
You can get that specific?
You could.
Okay. That's so interesting.
So later that same day at 8:15 p.m. Eastern time, Mercury retrogrades back into Leo. So it finally makes it back into Leo, and that's where it's going to be till the end of Mercury retrograde. It ends August 28th.
How does that change the effect that we've been feeling from Mercury retrograde while sitting in Virgo?
So last week, while it was in Virgo, there was more of a focus on little details. So details could be wrong. You might find, like you send out the email before spell checking it. There's just like little like nitpicky things that could be wrong.
Okay.
Or there could be stuff at work happening where somebody is supposed to put like the file on this desk and it ends up on a different floor, like that type of thing. Then this week when Mercury is in Leo, there's more of an energy of like self-expression being off. So maybe you say something, but you kind of didn't mean to say it that way. It comes off like people aren't really seeing you for what you mean or who you are. So there could be more misunderstandings happening socially rather than just in the workplace.
So be cognizant of the ability to be lost in translation.
Yeah. And I would say like, yes, being intentional can be really helpful, but it might not completely like mitigate this. So just be aware that some people might get confused and not know what you mean or could misinterpret like your intent.
Okay. So slow patience.
Yes, exactly. And just going with the flow as much as you can. And so Mercury's going to be in Leo until September 9th. So on the 28th, the retrograde will end, and then it will take till the 9th of September to get back into Virgo. So then we have, and what's actually kind of funny about that though is Mercury is, I lost what I was going to say.
Tell me everything.
What's funny about that is it's already affecting me, Ty.
Yeah, I know.
It's
creeping in. It's so hard to make this podcast about what's happening to us right now. We're being irradiated by planets.
Here is a really good example of, what could happen. It was lost in translation. I don't know.
That's so great. Okay, so this is a case study.
We'll leave that in. Okay. Yeah. The next day, Thursday, August 15th, the sun is trining your boy Chiron.
What's he up to?
He is trining the sun.
How is he closing out his summer? Tell me everything.
Okay, so 1:12 p.m. Let me set the scene. 1:12 p.m. Eastern Time, Thursday, August 15th. Chiron is floating through the sky. He is currently at 23 degrees of Aries. So he's in the last quadrant of Aries. He's moving along.
Edging up to 24 degrees to Aries.
Yes,
then 25.
He's getting there. And actually, he's retrograde, so he'd be going
23, 22. Sorry.
But he'll get there. And so right now he is trining over to the sun. This is really great for helping to build up self-confidence, bringing in healing around yourself. So this is going to be useful with that Leo Mercury retrograde, where we're feeling like people are misunderstanding us. Maybe people aren't seeing us for who we really are. This transit's like, it's okay. I know who I am.
The wounded healer becomes the wounded savior.
Exactly.
I'm into it.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is a nice transit. We're going to feel it all day on the 15th. It's a positive flow for sure.
I'm just here for Chiron. I know I've said it before on this podcast. Regular listeners will know. It is a Chiron positive podcast that we have here.
Absolutely. There might be other Chiron fans out there, but none like this.
Find us. Join our Patreon.
Yeah. You'll get all the Chiron you desire. Okay, so Friday, August 16th, we got one that I don't love.
What is it?
Mars is squaring Saturn. So
okay, that doesn't sound so threatening. Is it threatening?
I mean, it's not threatening. Like, I don't want to scare people. It's just not, it's not fun.
Okay.
Okay, 1:30 a.m. Eastern Time, Friday the 16th, Mars is forming a tense aspect with Saturn. So this is really going to slow down progress. It slows down outward measurable progress, and it can make our energy levels a lot lower. So you might feel more tired, more spaced out, more grouchy. It could feel like outward things are kind of like getting in the way of you being able to progress or get things done.
Mm-hmm.
There could be challenges coming up. Saturn's like, Saturn's kind of like this parental energy in a way. It's like the Lord of Karma. It's this kind of like paternalistic energy in the sky. And so it's kind of like coming in, keeping Mars in check. It's like you want to like move around and do all these things, but no, like you can't until you kind of progress to the next level.
Well, in Roman mythology, it's the parental figure that eats its children.
Yes.
So is that kind of the theme that we see going on in astrology as well?
Yeah. I mean, like, I guess. Yeah. Cause it's all about, mastering karma before you're able to kind of reap the rewards. So
that's loaded.
Yeah, it's Saturn is like the mythology around it is really beautiful. And I think Saturn does get a bad rep in astrology. I think it's one of the most interesting and kind of multifaceted planets. This is a Saturn positive podcast also. But I mean, it's not always fun. Like, that's the thing. It's a very serious kind of like energy that you're working with Saturn.
Right. I mean, like in Sailor Moon, you did not want to wake up this Saturn Sailor Scout because if she dropped her weapon, if it came down, all time would end.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's the Sailor Scout that needed to stay sleeping is Sailor Saturn.
Okay. That makes sense. Yeah. And you might be sleeping on Friday. This is low energy. It feels like take a nap,
Perfect.
Sunday, August 18th, we have two transits that are happening. So let me try to get through those. Mercury is squaring Uranus at 5:46 a.m. Eastern Time. And with this, Mercury is currently retrograde, as we know. So we might find that we're putting our foot in our mouth. We're saying things without thinking. We're just kind of blurting stuff out. And it could be really, it's just really like, imperative that you're going to maybe think about what you speak a little bit more, just because there could be I don't want to say chaotic consequences because that's very dramatic, but it could make things a little easier if you think it through.
Yeah.
Then we have the sun conjuncting Mercury at 9:58 p.m. Eastern time, and this could bring back some memories of past ideas. Anytime we have the sun conjuncting Mercury, there's ideas coming in. And because Mercury is retrograde, there's more of this past focus to it.
Oh, interesting.
So dropped threads, things that maybe you were thinking about a long time ago that are coming back through. You could have resurfacing of memories that maybe, you haven't thought of in a long time, or ideas like maybe you started a short story years ago and like it comes through and you suddenly have the ending.
Finish your short stories, Ash.
This literally happened to me the other day. I've been starting to meditate regularly. And while I was meditating, I remembered this short story that I had started years ago that I never finished because the ending that I had wasn't great. And I remembered the story and I had an idea for the new ending. And so
that's fantastic.
I went and I finished it and I was like, it's going in the book.
Thank you, Sun and Mercury.
Yeah. All right, so that's the week. There's a lot going on this week after last week's kind of quiet skies. This is kind of a lot, but
still sounds like our message is like patience.
Patience. I believe in us. Chiron believes in us.
Chiron does believe in us. Yeah. He's going to keep us safe.
Yeah.
Well, I'm back on my weird shit this week. Do you want to hear what we're going to talk about here?
Always.
Okay, so I am diving into a subject I absolutely love, and that is the Jersey Devil.
Wow, yes.
Do you know much about it?
I mean, just from mostly what you've told me from going to New Jersey.
Yeah, literally, I love it. I went with our friend Mandy. She's from Jersey, and when we were in college, we got super obsessed with the weird New Jersey magazines that would come out. And I think it was spring break, we were down there. I was adamant. I was like, we have to find the Jersey Devil's birthplace because it's a legitimate place. Like, it's a location.
That's so cool.
So it's in Leeds Point, New Jersey. And the farmhouses where he was born, apparently, like, it's gone, but the foundation is still there and you can get to the site in the middle of the woods. But man, like, we went as far as we could in the woods, and we were seeing like where like the early blogs had like posted of like how to know you're on the right path. We found some of like the trail markers along the way, but like we were getting covered in ticks, like covered.
Oh gosh.
Like on the way, and the mosquitoes were so bad that like it was disorienting.
It's like
us.
Nature's trying to stop you.
For real. Like it felt like a horror movie. And so we ended up turning around and finding our way back because it was just like we knew we were not even close, and like with how bad the bugs were, and we were getting like turned around from it. And so it just got dangerous,
Yeah.
But it like didn't stop me. So I guess what would be important is to tell people what the Jersey Devil is, maybe if they don't know, because I realized I just ran into this story already.
Yeah, no, let's talk about that.
So the Jersey Devil is a bipedal creature with horns on its head, and it roams an area of New Jersey called the Pine Barrens, which is, for as compact as you think New Jersey is, there's a lot of green area there. And so the Pine Barrens are where like there isn't really anything. It's like you follow like the coast, and there's like the Pine Barrens in a lot of New Jersey, and then like more metropolitan areas to the west. And so this creature with a head of a goat, wings of a demon, cloven feet, horns, is supposed to have roamed the Pine Barrens and eats cattle and shows up every once in a while, or creates a cool local story since 1735, I think.
Wow.
And so there's tons of stories about it, but the original legend is based in a woman who made a pact with the devil and then like birthed one of like his creations. And I think that's such a boring version of the story.
Yeah, that's silly.
The one that I like better, and again, all just stories, so you can like things better, is that Jane Leeds, and her real name is Deborah, but I don't know why the story decided to name her Jane Leeds.
Oh, Leeds Point?
Leeds Point.
Yeah.
So her name was, they also referred to her as Mother Leeds after the story because she's the mother of the Jersey Devil. But she realizes she's pregnant in the early 1700s with her 13th child. So there's the number.
That's horrible.
Out of frustration, she felt so too. So she cries out and she said, "Let this one be a devil." And then the story continues that on a dark and stormy night in which she goes into labor, lightning's crashing and rain batters the side of the cabin when she finally gives birth to a perfectly normal baby boy. She's holding the baby in her arms when she realizes that it's growing a forked tail. From there, its hands transform into claws and wings sprout from its back. It screams and it scratches her, so she eventually lets go of her newborn child, who claws its way over to the chimney, unfurls its new demonic wings, and flies up and out into the storm. And that's the last time the family had seen their demonic Jersey devil.
Wow, I learned to fly really quick.
Yeah, you really got it right out of the womb. It's like a giraffe learning to walk. But since then, there's just tons of flying monster sightings in the Pine Barrens.
Maybe it bred with other things.
There's more cryptos out there, right? And so you can find tracks in the woods. People talk about like that there shouldn't be a 2-footed donkey, like walking through the woods. Cattle mutilation, red eyes in the dark when you're out hiking. And then I wrote this one because I thought this was really interesting, that there was a spike in sightings in January 1909 for some reason.
I wonder if like a weird event happened, like kind of like how the Mothman would show up when.
That's where I was kind of going with this, because something happened that overnight or within a week, I think it was, there was 100 sightings of a similar creature.
That's
to the local newspaper and authorities. And some people even claimed that it got close enough to them that they shot it and it had no effect. And so it's interesting too, because there's still sightings to this day. And there are groups similar to like ghost hunters that call themselves devil hunters, and they comb the Pine Barrens for evidence of the Jersey Devil appearing as like a crypto.
Okay.
So I think this is a fun fact for you, but the Jersey Devil's father, Daniel, was into astrology.
Wait, I'm sorry. The Jersey, you mean like the devil, the supposed baby?
Of the 13th baby.
Is that whose chart we're reading today?
If I had Daniel's birth time for you, I would make that happen.
Yeah, I want to read the demonic baby's birth chart.
I think that'd be great.
Okay.
But it was kind of blamed because the father was into astrology. I thought that was a nice little podcast.
Oh, wow.
The Quakers around him really hated him.
We get blamed for everything.
That's it. Yeah. But it's really not Saturn's fault.
No.
So I have a bizarre connection to the Jersey Devil. I don't think you'll be able to align these two.
Yeah, I got nothing with this one. I know I knew last week's, but no, I don't know.
So we've got August 15th, 1976, or 1769, sorry.
Okay.
Not 1976. August 15th, 1769 in Ajaccio, France. And I hope I pronounced that right. No time for you, though.
Yep, that's fine. Okay, so I had to use a different astrology chart app.
For this old ones?
Yes. Okay. So first things first, this person has a beautiful grand trine in their chart, but it's a wild ride. So their grand trine, well, first of all, they're a Leo sun, which clearly we're in Leo season, with a Capricorn moon and Virgo rising. So strategic, like there's definitely attention to detail.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like the Leo sun would give like a creative and kind of enthusiastic energy, but then having the earth, moon, and rising would definitely give them more of like an attention to detail, more of like an ability to like kind of play the long game and like look ahead in life.
Planning, stuff like that. Okay.
Yeah, yep. Planning, I could see. So that grand trine, let's talk about that. The grand trine is between Mars, Uranus, and Pluto, which is a crazy grouping of planets to have a grand trine in, because it's kind of like dark. There's like a dark energy to it. So forgive me if this is off base, but it seems like there's like a chaotic kind of, I don't know, like this person could maybe you could read it as maybe being cruel or maybe being very like not like considering others when making decisions.
Okay.
I don't know if that's like,
I'm not going to give you anything.
Okay, I don't want anything. Okay. I'm just saying. It just seems like there's with the Mars trining Uranus would make for somebody who just kind of acts without I don't want to say without thinking, because there's definitely planning happening. Mars is in Virgo, but they're going to act without worrying about how it might look to other people.
I think that's really fair.
Yeah, like it would be more about like what are the results rather than like who's going to get offended. And
I think you're nailing it.
And then Mars is trining Pluto, which is very strategic leadership, like being really good at like leading and being really good at guiding others. But then Pluto is trining Uranus, which is a generational aspect. So that's part of the grand trine as well, which would have been like, I mean, this is the time of like, this person was born in France. So we've got like the French Revolution happening within their lifetime. Like there's just a lot of upheaval happening, which is like that generation.
Could they have caused some of the upheaval based on their chart?
Yeah, this grand trine, like absolutely. This is like a very powerful energy. Neptune is conjunct Mars. So again, like there's almost like a blindness to how their actions might impact other people. It's kind of weird because like some of the other charts we've read, I'm like, oh, they're like very like open and loving. Like I'm getting more of like I don't want to say like a cold energy, but they're definitely more about problem solving, planning ahead, and not so much about emotions or feeling. Like with this Mars conjunction to Neptune, there's kind of a blind spot with that.
Okay.
There's a Moon Saturn opposition. They could feel like maybe they don't fit in. There could be an issue between their parents because the moon represents the mother, Saturn represents the father. So there could have been like their parents were at odds. And at times they could feel like they're getting torn between the two of them. And they also have no air signs in their chart at all.
Well, how does that affect them, do you think?
Disdain for small talk, disdain for like the common person, like just, you know, like I don't have much air in my chart and like I don't do great with small talk. Like I want to just like get to like the weird stuff right away.
It's all big talk.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. Like I'm, you know, like I can deal with it, but I'll start to space out. You've seen me do that. Like my eyes will just be like, you know.
I don't want to call it out.
Yeah, this person would probably be like that too, but I don't know if they would be as nice about it just looking at their chart. Like I don't want to say like, oh, they're a jerk, because that's not necessarily true. It's just that they are very like high powered. It's almost like a business person would be, you know, like we got to make the tough decisions. It doesn't really matter if like your feelings are hurt. Like totally. That's the vibe.
I understand that completely.
Okay. So that's what I got for you.
It sounds like a purely accurate reading for Napoleon Bonaparte, the military leader and eventual emperor of France.
Wow.
I think that is probably the most spot on one that you've done so far.
I mean, his chart is crazy. Like, yeah, like he's got that grand, oh yeah, that's like a war trine.
I kept hearing Mars, Mars, Mars.
Yeah, it's a lot of Mars in the first house. What's really sweet, I didn't mention it because it's not a huge thing, is he does have Venus in Cancer, which is so sweet and soft. There must be a little sliver of Napoleon that's like tender, like under it all.
I don't think we get into it on my section, but we'll have to ask some like Napoleon experts about the still soft.
Maybe he like loved his dog, you know, like there's just like one thing in his okay.
The mini-sode is the softer side of Napoleon Bonaparte. That's what we can bring to the podcast.
Oh yeah. But I mean, his chart is very, very, general. It's a general's chart. Absolutely.
That's wild.
It's what he was born to do, clearly.
So before I get into the beats about his life, I'd like to ask you where the obvious connection between Napoleon Bonaparte and the Jersey Devil is.
Did he even ever come to New Jersey?
We'll find out. Okay,
I have no idea.
Yeah, this is crazy. Like I was so excited to find this. But like we just kind of talk about, Napoleon doesn't really need a large introduction. So let's dive into some of the facts about his life that relate to the reading that you just gave him. He was born of Italian roots on the island of Corsica. He eventually moved to mainland France when he was 9. He had a domineering mother, like you kind of just talked about, who's credited as one of his greatest influences. She respected firm discipline and considered Napoleon far too rambunctious to be a child. So instead of letting him be who he wanted to be, she doubled down. Her placing this respect of complete discipline on an unruly child is credited to having quite well molded him into who he became.
Yeah, he's got the sun in the 12th house, so he probably felt like he couldn't fully be who he was in the world.
I think so, but I think he really grasped on to the hand that had been dealt to him.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's a legend, and again, like I couldn't find out if this is real or not, but I'm going to share it anyway. that when he first arrived at school, he led his fellow underclassmen in a snowball fight against senior students, and they won based on Napoleon's tactics alone in the snow fight.
I mean, that somehow feels like it could be correct.
It feels like it could be correct. Again, that could be an urban legend about Napoleon, you know? So for college, he went to military academy in Paris, but his father died suddenly while he was in college. And due to finances, Napoleon had to cram 2 years of basically war school into one, and he did it.
Wow.
So from there, he starts to rank up and he rises in power super quickly after joining the military because of his just outright prowess and ability to take to strategery. So like quick highlights is 1793, he breaks a siege on the city of Toulon based on his command alone. 3 years later, he's already commanding a campaign, and he drives out Austrian enemies from the province of war that he's dealing with. And then we pop over to 1798. He's given a military expedition to lead into Egypt and Syria, which he does flawlessly. So, like, this kid is being given huge responsibilities, and he's winning. And so it goes on like this for quite a while where he's making these big decisions that are really changing the momentum in France. And I didn't realize this. I must have not been paying attention in high school. But it's 1803. I think it's 1803. He sells the Louisiana Purchase deal to the United States. That's Napoleon.
Yeah, I remember that.
Sells it to us for $15 million. And again, huge benefit both to America and France. Changes the course of history, really.
Yeah.
It's so well received that he is able to crown himself emperor in 1804.
Wow. So he was only like 40, 42, 43.
And he's given enough power to name himself emperor. So again, dictators happen quickly. You got to be a little careful about that, you know? So his reign is credited with war prowess that he's super well known for. Example, there's a battle in Friedland, and he's commanding troops against the Russian army's invasion, and he was able to wipe out 30% of the Russian military with his tactics alone. Like, it's just, he's so insanely talented with war. I have a note here on the side of my notes that says, ask Ash what Mars is up to.
Yeah, Mars is doing a lot in his chart. It's in the first house. It's a huge part of his personality. It's part of that grand trine, which is giving him natural talent in leadership, war, and not like worrying so much about like, oh, who's going to get hurt. It's more like, what's the result?
That's wild because he takes Mars and he grabs it.
Yeah.
He runs with it. So he's actually super successful until he becomes imprisoned as a British prisoner on an island in the middle of the Atlantic. Like, they didn't want to kill him and make him a martyr, right?
Yeah.
So they just exiled him and kept watch over him, and his health unfortunately started to decline pretty quickly there.
Yep.
There are, again, more conspiracy theories that like they poisoned him with arsenic, they took him out of the game. But he did pass away on this island. And in 2012, a case was reopened to figure out how Napoleon actually passed away. And unfortunately, he had stomach cancer.
Oh, wow.
Completely normal way to die for this living legend. But he did so alone on an island in captivity.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
I didn't either.
Ending. Yeah.
But he has a connection to the Jersey Devil.
How?
So, with the sale of the Louisiana territory, Napoleon and his family did have connections with the United States at that time. It just seems like the timelines don't line up, right?
Yeah, it feels somehow so far away.
So far away.
Yeah.
But they're not. It's completely in line. And so Napoleon's older brother was he was a former king of Spain. His name's Joseph Bonaparte. He abdicated the throne in 1813 and eventually moved to his Bordentown estate, which is in southern New Jersey. One day while hunting on his estate, he sees tracks that seem strange of a donkey walking upright. It's a bipedal donkey. So he follows the strange tracks and hopes to see what the creature is. He said that he turned the corner and comes face to face with a hissing winged creature with the head of a horse and legs of a bird. He was so shaken that he was unable to shoot at the creature, and it eventually turned from him and flew away. He rushed back to his state, shared the story of what he had just seen, and local residents said, "You've just seen the Jersey Devil."
Wow.
And that's the connection to
Napoleon's brother. I wonder if he like wrote to Napoleon and was like, "Hey, brother,
guess what's going on in America?
Guess what I saw?
They've got flying donkeys here. Yeah. It's crazy."
I mean, if they can fly away, it makes sense that they would just, they'd be hard to find.
Yeah. So there you have it. That's the connection to one of the greatest military personalities of our time as it relates to the Jersey Devil.
So interesting. Do you think the Jersey Devil's out there, Ty?
I think there's a lot out there that we don't understand. And I think that just makes the world a more magical place.
Right. I don't want to say no to any of it.
Not at all. Not at all. And other things too is like, is it a cryptid or is it a ghost?
Yeah. Is it like a tulpa?
Right. Everyone believes in it so strongly that in 1909, we all just go shooting at anything that we find outside.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Ty. That was awesome.
Thanks for coming along on this weird ride with me.
Yeah. Next week, we're going to be leaving Leo season behind. We're going to be moving into Virgo season. We'll talk about that there. And you can always find more deep dives astrologically on the Patreon, patreon.com/unclouded_I.
Love it. Yeah. And next week, from my segment, I have a story about a really well-known curse to share with you.
Okay. We've talked about a curse before. I'm excited to hear about another one.
We're doing it again.
I love it.
So follow us on all of our socials and we'll see you guys next week.
All right. Unclouded Eye stars Ashley Brooks and Ty Gowan. It's produced and directed by Nick Nordfors. Music by Ashley Jane Cecilia and Jay Karen. Our community manager is Aaron Cross. Art by Dawn Aquarius. Presented by Haunt Me. Follow Unclouded Eye at Unclouded Eye on Instagram and TikTok or Unclouded_I on Patreon. Special shout out to Zof Delnaki and Heidi Sanchez for supporting us on Patreon.